So, they're here, they're here. The new collector line Sindy dolls, which is very exciting. They arrived this afternoon. So that's cool. When were these pre-ordered? These were pre-ordered back in September? August? I can't remember. But that's when they were ordered. So it's been a while waiting, and they got delayed because of COVID. They were meant to come out at the beginning of this year, so beginning of 2020. They got delayed until the end of 2020. Bye. That's one of the kids leaving. So I've got an actual vintage Sindy here, just waiting. But so what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at these. I haven't opened them at all yet. I got 3 of them, but I'm only going to open this one because otherwise it's going to take forever. So this one is Weekender. You can see there. I agonised over this because these are nearly £80 each. So, ouch. So, they come in this outer shipper, which is covered in the Sindy logo, which is cute. These were done by Kreations, who also make Designer Friend for Argos. I don't know of anything else they make. I think that's pretty much all they make. So, small, 10 to 12 inch fashion dolls are not really something I believe they've ever done. So, this is an interesting one. So, what we've got is some tissue paper on there. It's covering up the thing. Let me just take this off as best I can. I think I have to take the whole lid off. Don't want to show the doll yet. Let's just take this off. So all of them have a slightly different box apparently. So when you put all 6 of them together, it's supposed to make a big pink Union Jack. You can see there, which is kind of cute, but how many people are going to display them like this, I suppose you could put the closed boxes behind them. I don't know. It's very shiny. It's incredibly shiny. My light's bouncing off of it. So let's have a look at her. So on the inside you've got the artwork. So this one, as I said, is Weekender. So she is inspired by the original 1962 Sindy. Here she is. This is my 1962 Sindy. Who came in an outfit called Weekender, which is very much the iconic Sindy outfit. You've got your red, white and blue striped jumper, jeans, and she would have originally come with little white sneakers. I don't have the sneakers for this one. But this is very much your iconic 1960s Sindy outfit. She would have had a red headband as well. So that is a 1962 Sindy doll. So we'll put her here. So that's this image, this outfit, and this is the updated version. So what they did was they took a lot of the iconic sort of 60s and early 70s outfits and they redid them. So we've got, there was a party one, there is one that's based on more like an 80s look, there's one that's based on the 60s cape, there's a lot of them and they're pretty cool. So inside, the actual dolls themselves were designed by a couple of people who are actually Sindy collectors themselves, one of whom has worked for Pedigree for years, and the other of whom is, I believe, just a collector. But, so these were made by collectors for collectors, which is nice, because, you don't get that often. Apparently Kreations was very, very eager to, defer to them, which, again, you don't get very often. Quite often companies are like, oh no, we know best. So this is, let me lift her up so you can see her. There she is. Oh, my camera does not want to focus. There we go. So these were based on the 1980s Sindy, so what's referred to as your second generation Sindy dolls. So this is a authentic 1985 Sindy doll. I got this one out because she's my first Sindy doll, and I wanted to use her as a comparison to see how close they'd gotten it. So, where my scissors? There they are. So, she is, she has rooted eyelashes, I can see that she's got thick rooted lashes. And her hair's actually really soft. I was a bit worried because they said her hair was nylon, and I was like, a bit worried about that. But it's actually very, very soft. We'll see how it looks when I get her out, see how frizzy it is. This particular one has had several changes in her design, because when they originally showed the prototypes...
Hello.
Hi, I'm doing a video, honey. When they originally showed the prototype, she had short hair. Sort of more of a 60s flip. And when they actually did the production, they changed that to very, very long hair, which a lot of people didn't like. So they kind of compromised and gave her something in between the two, which I think appeased most people. My scissors are very blunt. Sweetheart? Okay, so there she is. As I said, her hair is very soft. It's quite strangely rooted though. It's rooted so the majority of it is pulled back. Can you do that elsewhere? It's rooted so the majority of it is pulled back, and then she's just got a part line at the very front where it comes into two. I'll have a look and see if she does actually have a properly rooted part line. I believe she does. It's just for whatever reason her hair is not styled that way. She looks to have a rooted part line, but it hasn't been thatched. I don't know. I might be able to comb that in. I'm not sure. Her hair is not massively thickly rooted at the top here. You can see her scalp through her hair, but that might just be because of the colour of her hair. It's like a very sort of pale blonde colour, which is quite thin and all of that. So her head appears to be on some sort of ball joint, but I'm a little wary to grab that. She's got an incredibly hard head. There's no squish at all. She's got actual metal earrings. They're little bows. They're quite cute. Rooted lashes. I don't know if you can see those. And she's got an actually articulated body. So she has an articulated body. It's not brilliantly articulated. This is as far as her elbow can go. It actually kind of needed a little bit more of a cutout in order to bend more. But, you know, it's more than an actual vintage Cindy had. And apparently her hands are actually 1980s active Cindy hands. I didn't manage to find an active Cindy in my boxes. I kind of fell off the chair and hurt myself, so I stopped looking. But this is an actual 80s Cindy, and this is the reproduction. Can you see those? There's my light getting in the way. I'll put them this way around. So they're pretty close. I mean, Cindy has had so many different faces over the years that there's so many dolls from like the 70s and 80s that all have slightly different faces. She's kind of somewhere in between a sad face one, which have very small little hard heads, and a 80s one, sort of soft headed one. And her outfit has got, let's have a look at what's going on with this outfit. She's got a bit of elastic around her waist. Let's just take that off. There we go. So she has a little Cindy tag there. And her outfit velcros up the back. Let's get a look at her body. And she's got these little sneakers which are actually made of fabric. These are actual fabric sneakers. They are absolutely tiny. How do I get those off? Alright. Absolutely tiny and actually made of I don't know, some sort of leatherette stuff. Take them off. Take her jeans off, which have got a cool red stripe up them. They're actually made of fashion weight denim, so they are actually denim, which I always like in doll jeans. You don't see it very often these days because companies have become very cheap, but I always like a pair of jeans that is actually made of denim. Inside label on glass. Curious as to what it says. Just says pedigree. Toys and Brands 2020. Which is interesting as well. Here is her body. So she's got a waist joint. Like that. She's got moulded on panties, which have got almost like a little crosshatch kind of pattern on them. Sort of high-waisted, moulded on panties. She's got the ability to move her legs much like an old doll could. She can splay them as well. They're on a ball, which is nice. Her knee joints, well, that's as far as her knees will bend. So that's her standing straight up. So that's as far as they will actually bend. They won't do a full 90 degrees, which is a shame because it means that that's as good as she can sit. So she can't really sit that brilliantly, but at least she can sit. Same with her arms. So her elbow and knee articulation is pretty limited. Her wrists have got pretty good motion in them though. She can do this. She can't touch her face really. She can sort of. But her elbow doesn't move quite enough to allow her to. And she can't really look up or down. Well, she can look a little bit up, but her head won't sit in that position. What I'll do is I will strip off this girl to compare the proportions. So she's not actually wearing proper Sindy clothes, which is why it's a little bit tight across her bust. This is actually a Liv dress, because Liv stuff was fantastic as a modern sort of clothing for the Sindy dolls. Even the shoes fit, which is nice. But actual vintage dolls quite often came with fabric panties, which I miss, to be honest. I miss fabric panties. They were cool. It gave you, you know, an option. And if they were wearing a really short skirt, you know, it was a bit less scandalous than otherwise. But here we go. So, she's a bit like floppy in the waist because she's old. We'll give her a break. I'm a bit floppy in the waist, but I'm the same age. But, so, the new doll has far more detailed feet. She's actually got toes. She's got little toes. They have little toenails and everything. They're actually quite detailed. She's got quite chunky legs. So they've both got fairly chunky legs. I think the new girl actually has slightly wider hips. But they've got that same slightly off proportion with the very pinched in waist and the very wide shoulders that vintage dolls tend to have. It's to do with tailoring of their clothing. But it looks like she's got a different bust as well. She's got less pointy boobs, more sort of naturally shaped boobs than the new girl. See, they're not quite as weird and pointy. And her shoulders are far more realistic. They actually come out. See, on the original doll, she kind of has this sloping, quite bad posture on her shoulders, whereas the new girl actually has proper shoulders. So they do have quite different sort of shaped bodies, but it's obviously inspired by. But of course, what I'm sure a lot of people want to know is, is their clothing compatible? So what we'll do is we will see, won't we? The big problem with the old dolls is their rubbery legs, because they had these clicky rubbery legs, which make it really difficult to get tight-fitting trousers and boots onto them. It is an absolute nightmare. In fact, getting most Sindy boots on is an exercise in futility. I mean, even with the talcum powder like it suggests, it's horrible. You feel like you're going to break the doll or the shoe, and it's just an awful experience all around. So we got her top. Her top's cool. It's got like little pleats at the bottom of it, which is almost like a skirt, but not quite. Here you see the difficulty of a doll with sticky legs. Because getting the trousers on over these big fat feet and these sticky legs is not fun. It's not fun at all. It's going to take a while. If I can even get them over her feet. I should be able to, but it's going to involve a fair bit of force. I cannot get it over her feet. I just can't. I'm not going to struggle with that. I don't want to. It's a pain in the ass. I don't want to struggle with it. If she didn't have such sticky legs, it might not be such a problem. So I'm going to say, yes, they probably will fit, but it's a pain in the ass to try and get tight-fitting trousers or whatever onto them. So as for shoes, the real problem is that the original dolls have a moulded high heel, whereas the new ones have much flatter feet, and also rather more narrow feet. So I am not convinced that the shoes are actually compatible, but what I will do is I will grab some, here we go, vintage Sindy shoes, and I will put them on her to show you what I mean. So these are vintage Sindy shoes. So here is my 80s Sindy. As you can see, the shoes go on and they stay on, right? But you put them on her, and they're too big. They're too wide. They're the right sort of, they're a little bit too long, but they're also too narrow, or too wide. Her feet are too narrow. So the answer to that is no, they cannot share shoes, which is a shame. It's a pity. But not hugely surprising considering how much change was done to this foot. It does though mean that, I'm not really sure, because Liv stuff can fit vintage Sindys really well, even the shoes. I'm not sure if Liv shoes will fit these girls. I will see if I can find any, but I don't know if it will fit. But I'm not sure why you'd really want to change their shoes out, because their shoes are actually really cool. They've all got fabric shoes that have various you know, details and designs on them. So I think it's much easier to put trousers on a doll with hard plastic limbs. I vastly, vastly prefer hard plastic legs and arms. It makes it so much easier to dress the doll. So I'm going to try and put a Liv dress on her. Let's see how that works. Yeah, I know, over the top of her jeans. Very early 2000 look. Her articulated arms do make this substantially easier in some ways, because I can actually bend her arms to get the sleeves through, but her limited elbow articulation at the same time does make it a bit challenging. So yeah, they fit Liv stuff beautifully. Actually, I think fits her better than it fits the vintage doll, because it actually fits her shoulders correctly. See? Because, you know, she has shoulders. And so I'll get her dressed into her normal clothes again. Unfortunately, I don't own a... Well, I do have a blonde Made in England Sindy, but she's not wearing this outfit, so... But also, she's not in particularly great condition. I always preferred the brunettes. But people associate Sindy with blonde hair, probably because from about the mid-80s onward, majority of her dolls were blonde. Whereas prior to that, she came with 3 hair colours. She came with red hair, brown hair, or blonde hair. Sometimes black hair as well. And I missed that. I mean, thankfully this lot, you know, there are different hair colours. You know, you can get ones with pink hair, there's one with blue hair, there's a couple of brunettes. No redheads, unfortunately. But only the one blonde, which is this girl. Let's put her shoes back on. They go on pretty easily. They're held on with a little bit of elastic. I'm not sure they need to be. So she also comes with a stand, which I don't know how to get that out. Her little certificate of authenticity, I believe this is. How do I get that out? There we go. And it says, this Weekender doll is number 403. They did 1,962 of them, I believe, of every version. So they did 6 different dolls, and they did that many of each. Which is a really random amount, but it was a reference to when the first doll came out. She also has these 3 boxes, which I'm going to find out what's in them. So, what does this one contain? The top box contains a little plastic heart charm, as well as some information that says if you get 6 of them, the little heart charms, you can get a silver bracelet if you send them in to Kreations. Plastic tokens will not be returned. She also has a little booklet, which is a little magazine. She has quite a few pages. So, look at that. That's her. I love it. So this is our original doll. 1960s fashion. And then we've got the 2020 dolls. There's quite a lot to read in this actually. It's quite a long little booklet. It's so small. It's quite a extensive little booklet. So that's cool. So that's box number 1. Box number 2 has got her headband. And I believe a bracelet. I think this is a bracelet. Oh, it's cold. I think that's a bracelet. I'm going to assume anyway. So I'll put that there. And then how does this go on? Okay, there we go. Up, 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 up. Keep the knot at the front because that's where it's supposed to be. There we go, and that hides the seam, so to speak, where her hair changes its rooting style. This is the back of her hair if you're curious. It's in very, very, very thick, chunky curls, which you can just break apart with your fingers, and they look far more in scale once you do that. There we go. So there she is with her headband on. And her bracelet does not want to stay on. I mean, I'm assuming it's a bracelet because there's nothing else it could be. It just does not. Let's just tighten it around her wrist there. Okay. So that's what was in that box. That's all that's in that box. It's quite a large box for not a lot of stuff. And this one, I assume, is her handbag. So she's got a shopping bag, which is cool. And inside the shopping bag is her actual handbag. It has a metal chain handle, or strap, whatever, and it actually unzips. I love a working bag. I really do. It's made of some sort of like leatherette stuff. Yep. And looks like there's a slight error in the sewing of it. You can see it's, but oh well. Goes on. Frickin' bracelet's fallen off again. Listen, girl. Listen. You were gonna wear this thing. Whether you like it or not, you're gonna wear it. It is going on, and it is staying on. Problem is, I don't know what it's made of, so I don't know if I can squeeze it particularly hard. I'm a bit wary, I'm going to break it. Okay, I've squeezed it so it actually fits. And there's her bag. Put that on around her. There we go. So there she is, all put together. I suppose she can have this as well. Let's have a look at her alongside her inspiration. Look at that. So you can definitely see the inspiration, you know, the red, white and blue stripes, the jeans, the white shoes, the red headband, which she would have originally had. It's kind of cool. I like that. It feels very in keeping. She's got a slightly weak leg. This leg is a bit weak. It's often the case with hinged joints. It's not too bad. I mean, it'll hold, but it is a little bit weak. And her head is very, I can't say loose because it's quite clearly quite solidly on there. It just feels very easy to move. It's hard to explain. It almost feels wobbly. Like, yeah. Like it's on it seems to be on like a little peg with then like a ball at the end. It's quite strange actually. I'm not entirely sure what the heck is going on with that. But she is an exceptionally pretty doll. So I managed to grab a couple of dolls before I fell over and hurt myself trying to get them out of my cupboard. So this is a Hatchet 2006, I believe they were brought out. British Airways reproduction doll. And as you can see, I mean, they're not brilliant in their reproduction. They're a bit startled looking. They don't quite manage to look enough like Sindy. I mean, they look like Sindy, but they don't look like Sindy, if that makes sense. I think it's the lack of the inset lashes and stuff like that. So the thing is, these were quite cheap, whereas, you know, this is an £80 collector line doll, very expensive doll. So you can see, and also these are on these horrible spindly bodies that don't fit any clothes from anything. They are just so skinny and awful. And then I've also got my other Weekender doll, who's a mini Sindy. She's tiny. You can see she's substantially smaller than the other one, and very, very damaged. She's missing quite a lot of fingers because these old dolls have rubbery fingers. So as you dress them and undress them, their fingers break off, which is a real shame. She's also got a floppy head, which is quite normal for mini Sindys. They were pretty weirdly made. But in terms of height, it's about the same height. Maybe a touch shorter because she's got flat feet rather than heels. So yeah, she's a little tiny bit shorter. But her hair is about, no, it's softer than the vintage doll. So she's actually got very soft hair. Apparently it's nylon, just regular, you know, high quality nylon. And I mean, once she's got her headband on, you can't see that weird seam line, so it kind of works. I might comb through it and try to locate where the rest of the part line's supposed to be. I think it's there. I don't know. I'll see how I feel later on. She also, her hair's like all over the place in all different lengths because it's curly, and so it's being a bit of an annoyance. I think it just needs to kind of be finger combed out in order to look less chunky. I don't know. I think it needs, she's shedding a bit. Just a little bit of something. I think that's better. It's actually a bit thicker now. Problem with shoulder bags is they always fall off the doll's shoulder. I kind of feel like her bag's actually a little bit too long, because it's like right down here rather than here, but whatever. So there she is, Weekender Sindy. I'll put her here, put that back in there, and I'll move this around. and get a better look. There she is. Now we'll see if I can quickly show you the other two as well. I'm not going to do a full deboxing of them yet, but I will see if I can show you quickly, mostly because I'm curious as to what they look like. So that's Weekender. Put her over here. And the other two are Shopping Look, who is a brunette one, because, you know, I wanted a brunette one. I always like a brunette doll. Come on, lid. Come on, lid. Okay. Got our original artwork. And look at those heels. And let's get a look at her. So there she is. And she has got very, very, very thick sort of a mid-tone brown hair. It's quite an unusual tone actually. It's sort of a chestnut colour. And she has green eyes, which again is very interesting. And little diamante earrings. Her boots are leatherette. Underneath this she has a little dress. She also has a little metal necklace on. So yeah, I'm going to have a look at her part line as well, because I think she's got side parting, but the way she's in the box it's kind of all clumped up. But that is Shopping Look. Put her lid back on. And this one is Sleepy Time. Now, I don't usually like dolls that are in such limited outfits. I like my dolls to be in like day-to-day wear. I find swimsuits and pyjamas and formal wear and stuff like that incredibly limiting. So I tend not to get them. But this girl was the only one that they did of this wave that was actually darker skinned. They did plan to do a dark skinned doll, like a properly black one, but they didn't end up doing it. Apparently the production cost was too high. It was something to do with her outfit, or I don't know. They made a lot of excuses, and I wasn't overly impressed, and neither were a lot of other people. But whatever, they didn't want to do it. So hopefully, if they do another wave, they will release her, because as you can see, because actual black Sindys are incredibly rare. They only ever did like one, and she sells for hundreds and hundreds of pounds, and it's ludicrous. She's got a bit of a mark on her face. So there she is. Excuse the noise. There goes the door again. So there she is. She's apparently number... I don't know, actually quite a high number, I think. Should be able to read that backwards. But anyway, so she's actually... I'll put her next to her. So she's actually a kind of mid-toned brown. And she comes in a like robe. So she's actually got the most sort of, dare I say it, simple outfit. She's wearing like little pyjamas underneath this, which are quite cute actually. I'll undo her robe so you can see if I can get them to undo. She's got like a little pyjama top and little shorts, which is cute. But, you know, all things considered, her outfit is substantially more simple than the other dolls. She's got little fluffy slippers, and I believe she comes with like a pillow or something like that. But of course, being as she is a unique skin tone, which we've never seen in a Sindy before, I needed to get her, didn't I? Because you know what I'm like when it comes to this sort of thing. So yeah, she's actually very, very pretty. She has got a mark on her head. I'm trying to see if that just comes off with a little... What is that? I think it's just a error in the, let me just have a close look. It's alright. I think it's just a little scuff actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably debox these and get a really good look at them, make sure that everything is how it should be, everything's where it should be, and yeah, the stand's kind of cool, it's hinged. And then I will also do a blog review which will have lots of photos and detail pictures, which is probably, you know, way easier. And a lot of comparisons as well. I'm going to try and find my Tonna doll, which is the last time they did a reproduction. It's not the same era, it's a 1970s reproduction rather than 1980s reproduction, but it still was of a similar price point, so it'd be an interesting comparison in terms of the quality, because certainly the Tonna dolls are substantially heavier and made of a much denser plastic, whereas these are made much more of a kind of what you'd expect from a playline doll, a good quality playline doll, but still sort of playline plastic. But I mean, really what you're paying for with these is these incredibly deluxe outfits. They've got like spectacularly deluxe outfits, which is cool. And compared to say like the collector line Bratz, which was supposed to be like super deluxe, you know, at least these feel like some actual attention to detail was put in, and everything is unique and new. Like every doll has their own unique earrings, every doll has unique shoes, unique jewelry. You know, there's no sort of churned out, reused, mass produced stuff, which is nice to see as well. And there's a huge range of eye colours. There's a grey-eyed one, green-eyed one, there's one with like hazel-coloured eyes, this one's got brown eyes. I think the other brunette has got brown eyes as well, which is nice because every previous Sindy was always blue-eyed. Sindy has always had just blue eyes, so it's nice to see some variation there. And I know some people are purists about it, and they're like, oh, it's not Sindy if it's not blue-eyed, but, you know, I'm not one of those people. I like diversity in my doll collection. And so we're gonna put her lid back on. In fact, I should actually have taken the tissue paper off, shouldn't I? So that you could actually see the decoration. The problem is that it washes out if it's got... So, I'm trying to figure out what order they go in. I don't remember if these three make anything. It's very confusing. Do they make anything? Can you put them together? Oh, I think these two. Yeah, those two go together. And then I think she might be somewhere else. I don't know. I don't know. But, can you even see this one? With the light shining directly on it. I don't think you can. Let me move my light. There we go. So yeah, they go together, but I'm not sure how they go together. But all 6 of them are meant to go together to make one big display, which creates this Union Jack. Which is a neat idea, but, you know, you need 6 of them. And at 80 quid each, that's a heck of a lot. This is the back of the box, by the way. It's just plain grey. It's got some cake on it now. There's cake on the floor. And it's just got warning, not suitable for children under 36 months, Kreations, Staffordshire. Produced under license, Pedigree Toys and Brains, 2020. Made in China. So yeah, that's all it says. Very straightforward. It's a nice box though. Kreations does really nice boxes. The boxes they do for the designer friends are very much like this. They're pink and incredibly sort of sturdy little boxes full of tissue paper. It's weird because their fashion packs and stuff like that for the designer friend dolls are not overly expensive. They're only about like £10–15, but they are really deluxe feeling when you open them because there's all this like tissue and it just feels really like, ooh, special, which is kind of cool. I don't really collect 18-inch dolls, but I have bought a Kreations fashion pack before now because, you know, it's so nice looking. So, yeah, overall, you know, they're pretty. I like them. They we saw quite a few pictures of them before they were ready for dispatch, and a lot of video and things like that of them. So if it seems like I'm not overly surprised by anything, that's why, because we've actually seen all of the details, the packaging, everything already. We got to see a lot of it before anyone even ordered. And with the ordering, it was a little bit of a shambles. We got early access if you signed up to the website for 12 hours. And the problem was that they really had not tested the website, and it kept lagging and crashing, but also it couldn't deal with multiple orders, so I had to order each of these individually instead of all together, because it wouldn't allow me to put them all in the same cart. And then it charged me postage 3 times, which it shouldn't have done. It should have been free postage. And so then they had to refund me the postage, and this happened to pretty much everyone who ordered. I mean, to their credit, they did fix it relatively quickly, but it was still very annoying, because for about 3 or 4 hours there was no representative for Kid Kreations online to answer any of these problems. So everyone was kind of like madly scrambling, going, what do I do? What do I do? I mean, it all got sorted in the end, but still, it's the first time I think they've ever really done anything like that, and you could kind of tell that they really were not that prepared. And they've not been great about keeping everyone up to date about the delays and things like that. It's all kind of come through their agent, their sort of third party, rather than being sent out to the people on the mailing list, which is a problem, you know, because they have a mailing list. What's the point of having a mailing list if you're not going to use it? But I think it very much comes down to the company has never done anything like this before, particularly not with, you know, rabid fans like Sindy fans are. And I don't think they really knew how to handle it. I mean, hopefully, you know, this baptism in fire, they'll kind of do a lot better next time. Hopefully we will get a second wave. They apparently have planned a second wave, but whether it will happen, of course, depends on the sales of these, and they haven't sold out of these yet. So, probably because they're bloody expensive. So, it'll be interesting to see if we get that second wave. I mean, I hope we do, but we might not. So we just have to kind of, you know, enjoy what we have. And I mean, thankfully, this year, I had the money that I could actually just afford to buy, you know, 2 or 3 of them, whereas when Tonna did theirs, the import fees were such that I just couldn't justify more than one. And it was just too much. And on top of that, you know, you have your customs and all of that, whereas at least these are coming through the UK, so I don't have to pay customs. Sorry, people outside the UK, but you probably will, but, you know, you don't get shafted quite as badly as we do most of the time. So, it's nice to have Sindy back, even if it is just in a collector form. And, she looks like Sindy, which is also nice. You know, there's been so many versions of her over the years, and so many attempts to reboot her, including the absolutely dire Tesco's ones from a couple of years ago, which were 18-inch dolls that were just rebranded My Life As dolls. They were awful. And so it's nice to see Pedigree actually find someone who's willing to put the effort in, to listen to the collectors, to listen to people who have grown up with Sindy, who love Sindy, and actually just make something that the fan base actually wants, rather than just random things with a Sindy logo on them, which is what Tesco's ones very much felt like. They just felt like a random doll with a Sindy logo tacked on. I know there are some people in the Sindy community who are like, oh no, they're not right, because of their bodies. They don't like the articulated bodies, because to them, you know, those obvious visible joints are ugly and not Sindy enough. But the fact of the matter is they have to be made with modern safety measures and all of that, and modern dolls just are not made with these clicky legs anymore. It's just not how they're made. And the chemical reactions that you get between the soft and the hard plastics mean that they get melt and things like that. So pretty much every modern doll is now made not only with visible joints, because joints like that are expected, but with hard plastic it's easier to dress them and you don't get the chemical reaction. You also don't get the little plastic rod poking through and stabbing you, you know. Or if it's a really, really old doll, like 1960s Todd and Tootie, actual wire, which hurts when it pokes through. So, you know, I don't mind that. I don't mind the change of materials or anything like that, because, you know, it's 2020, it's not 1985. You know, it's been... Pedigree discontinued Sindy in 86, so it's been a long time since we've had a Pedigree Sindy. We've had attempts, you know, we've had the Chad Valley ones, which were made under license and all of that, but, you know, they looked like, well, this. They did not look like Sindy dolls. And so, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to open the others and do a photo shoot, I think. Should be fun. Not that I have any light, but, you know, should be fun.